You're watching Good Evening San Diego.
Good evening, San Diego, and welcome back. While San Diego County's average rent growth has slowed, some areas continue to face pressure from rising rents. Licensed California real estate broker Mark Powell joins us now to explain and discuss what interest rate cuts mean for San Diego's real estate. Mark, always so good to see you. How have you been?
I've been good. Thank you, Teresa.
Of course. So we're hearing about a slowdown in rent, but some areas are seeing it and some are not. What can you tell us? What are you seeing?
Well, I can tell you that in 2020, right around February of 2020 to now, rents have increased 30%. Wages have not increased 30%. Obviously, people aren't making 30% more than they made in 2020 pre-pandemic. But what actually happened was there's a rental cap where landlords can only increase rents up to 10% every year. And that's part of rent control that we have here. So we've seen landlords raising rents every year as much as they possibly can. Now they finally got to a point where wages aren't keeping up with rent, so they're having to do some concessions, like I'll give you 2 months rent free if you move in. We're starting to see it soften. In fact, it's down about 5% where it was. So renters now have a little bit of relief, but we're still really high. We're 9th in the country.
So landlords are having a hard time finding tenants because the rents have increased.
Well, not only that, 31,000 people left San Diego County versus coming in. So we have people leaving San Diego County, and there's about 4,000 units coming on the market. So we're getting a little bit more inventory. So the good news is the rents are coming down just a bit. The bad news is that the wages haven't kept up with these just crazy rent increases.
I'm glad we're talking about this. So I know someone right now living in Pacific Beach renting a 1-bedroom for $2,500. Her neighbor upstairs is moving out. The landlord's now charging $2,800 for that upstairs, and that's $300 more, and it's in not in good condition compared to the updated unit downstairs. How can a landlord do that?
So landlords are allowed to increase the rent when somebody moves out. So that's a perfect example. They can bring it up to market rate. But if Prop 33 passes, and voters should be aware of this, there could be some controls. The cities will be able to control that, and the cities might be able to say, you know what, landlord, you're not going to be able to increase your rent to market rate when somebody moves out. You have to keep it at that same amount and then go with their 5 to 10% a year, or they might even say, we're only going to allow you to increase it 2 or 3% a year. So that's a big proposition on the ballot, and it's going to make a big difference in rent prices, because you might get people saying then, I'm just going to sell my rental property, and it can take more properties off the market. Then again, rents stay high.
So we're talking about rent prices, also the interest rate cuts. How is that impacting the San Diego real estate market? Well,
the interest rate cuts were 50 basis points, or 0.5% cut. So we're right around 6.2%, down from like 7.2% where they were about a year ago. However, they were 2.5–3% a few years back. So it's not really going to affect the mortgage rates. It's going to increase buyers' ability to purchase a house. So now you're going to have more buyers being able to qualify for a $500,000 house to $1 million. And then when more buyers qualify, guess what happens? Prices start going up again. So instead of coming down, that could even drive up home prices a bit more.
This is such a good topic, talking about the interest rate cuts, also the rental prices. I wish we had more time, because I want to talk to you about just landlords, you know, if you think it's a good idea for them to offer concessions for these renters.
Oh, absolutely. And they should offer the concessions, because if they lose 1 or 2 or 3 months rent, it offsets all of their profits for the year. So they would rather offer some concessions instead of keeping their rents high and having them stay vacant for 3, 4, 5 months.
All right, Mark Powell, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Always so good to see you. Thanks for giving us an update on the real estate market and rental prices.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure.